Welcome to our first game of Spire! Woo! Yay! Hi! Oh, Dustin, remember how you were complaining last episode that the box was in your face? It's in my face now.
Yeah, it's in your face now.
It's like right
Yeah,
here.
I see it.
It's okay, I got it. It's good. I'll just hold it right here for the whole, I'll hold it for the whole episode.
Perfect.
It's totally fine. So yeah, this is our first time playing this game, so welcome on in with us. It's gonna be lots of fun. Yeah, we're playing Spire by Grant Howitt and Chris Taylor. I'm much excited. I think we'll go around and just say hi. Maybe we'll just say like who and what we're playing. Should we do that now, Jason, or should we unfold it?
You can talk a little bit about who you're playing. There'll be more
Yeah.
intro stuff during the game.
Perfect. Okay. So I'll go first. I'm Jess. Hi, you're on my channel. You found me. You did it. Good job. So I'm go_JG on here, the Twitch and the Twitters and all that stuff. And today I'm playing Kosa the midwife, who, you know, is a very sweet, gentle, caring person who takes care of the future generations of drow by collecting blood to rub all over them delicious drow eggs. So yeah, give me that good blood and I'll take good care of you. And I'm excited. So yeah, hi, Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan. Megan Lynn for the win on Twitter. I will be playing Imogene, who is an idol. So she's basically like an occult superstar. She's a singer. And I am also very, very excited to play. Mm-hmm.
Dustin?
Hi, I'm Dustin or Dusty, depending on what you want to call me. And I will be playing the Vermissian sage Torith of the Lost Chapters. And they are, they're a little weird.
A little? Nothing.
We'll find that out as we go.
Nothing in Spire is weird. You're making that up.
Are we? Are we making that up?
Jason, I think it's your turn.
Yeah, okay. And I'm Jason, at Jace Levine on Twitter. And I am the GM, so I'll be playing everybody else. Yeah, and I'm really excited to play this game. Wanted to since I got it.
Very, very excited. I think that's it for our intros. If you wanna tell us about this awesome game, we actually have a command for it in chat. So if you are wondering and you need to know, you can go find it.
So Spire is a really great, very evocative indie RPG designed by Grant Howitt and Chris Taylor. It takes place in a ancient, earlier civilization mile-high skyscraper that has been inherited by the drow elves who live there. Except a few hundred years ago, their city was taken over by the high elves. And now the high elves are the cruel occupiers of the drow elven city. And the player characters are all drow elves who have joined the resistance, the ministry of our hidden mistress, who hope to in some way take back parts or all of the city from the high elves. Mechanically, it's a pretty streamlined game. It revolves around rolls that are mostly D10 based. And it uses basically resistances. So you only make a roll in Spire when you are taking a risk and you have something to lose. And you make a roll and you take stress towards different resistances. Only one of which is like the usual hit points, health type thing. The other ones are like your reputation or your secret identity in the resistance. And those things take stress, and then they may eventually suffer fallout where bad things can happen. But they're very interesting bad things. Yeah, it's a really fun mechanic. Creates some good stories. All right, and do we want to sort of roll right into it?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
All
Let's
right.
spire up this long boy.
You had to work that in there, huh?
I did. I've been waiting for my moment.
It was very inspired.
Oh, no.
It starts.
Yeah.
Had to be the first one for that one.
All right. I'm going to just read like a little intro to the scene. Spire has long been a city of the haves and the have-nots, the suffering drow down Spire living at the heel of their up Spire Alfir occupiers. But the streets are even more tense as of late. The Alfir war against the gnolls of Far Nujab stretches on without end, and the price is paid by the most vulnerable. The Council of Spire, from their rime-frosted chambers in High Amaranth, have passed new rationing restrictions to direct more food and material to the front. The Downspire drow suffer the most, going hungry and destitute to fuel a war that is not theirs. Upspire, the Alfir still live like kings and queens, untouched by the rationing laws, still enjoying lavish parties and hideous wealth. Desperate drow pleas to the council have been ignored. Violence grows in the poorer neighborhoods. The ministry has had little trouble recruiting new soldiers and spies to the resistance, but the bloodthirsty fanatics of the Crimson Vigilance have grown in number as well. The city guard is stretched thin and operating on a razor's edge, while the radiant and ruthless paladins of the Alfir strike without mercy at even a hint of uprising. It is in this tinderbox that your ministry cell is activated once more, for what is to be a simple job. And we're going to open. Cahosa, you are in your hatchery. Your hatchery is located beneath the Cathedral of Our Glorious Lady, who is the one of the aspects of the moon goddess, the trio of moon goddesses from the Drow, in the tunnels beneath the cathedral, located about halfway up the spire. The tunnels here are dark, lit only by old and flickering mage lights, enchanted lights that glow in pale colors. And there are deep shadows in the corners of all of these tunnels where you can hear the skittering of spiders and spider-like creatures. It's here that eggs are secreted away, kept out of prying eyes, protected. The eggs of important drow of the resistance. You are currently moving through the tunnels of the hatchery. In addition to taking care of the eggs, the hatchery of late has served other purposes. There have been a great many hungry drow or infirm drow, those who have been injured rising up against the Alfir. And the hatchery has taken them in and tried to take care of them as best as can. But it's been busy lately. And there have been grumblings from the priests of the moon goddess who are located above you that they are nervous about the attention that your hatchery could be drawing to them. They're not all fans of the ministry and its uprising and are afraid of the attention that might come down on them. You are in your tunnels and you're moving past a room full of injured drow elves who are being wrapped up in silk-like cocoons. It's part of a healing process. And as you're moving through the tunnel, a spider drops down from the ceiling of the tunnel on a thin string of silk and hangs in front of your face. It's a large spider, about the size of your palm. And as it spins in front of you on this single strand of silk, you see a note, a small scroll wrapped up, tied to its abdomen.
Oh, is that for me? Thank you, lovely. I'll take that. I'll take the note, unfold it. Appreciate it. What does it say?
Note, when you unfurl it, you can see is written by your magister, who's the person who leads your cell and a number of other cells in your branch of the ministry. Her name is Lenora, and she signed the note in her kind of flowing script. But the note says that you are to expect that Imogene and Torith from your cell will be making their way to your hatchery soon, and that there will be further instructions coming. But that for now, to stay put where you are and to expect them. You do notice that the note does not mention anything about Florentine, the fourth member of your cell.
All right then. I guess we'd better clean up. And I'll just go check on my babies. Go make sure they're good and bloody.
All right, yeah, and some background for that. So the drow elves in Spire, they lay eggs, essentially. Like, usually it's 1 to 3 eggs. And those eggs are taken in by the order of the midwives and are sort of raised until they're born. But in the meantime, they're fed blood through the membranes of the eggs, basically is poured on the eggs. And there's a whole like side business cultural thing to midwives where the different vintages and quality of blood, like blood from noble lines of drow, is favored, and said that the children born of those eggs that are fed the noble blood will be more important, have a greater destiny.
Like good vintages of blood. Tasty,
yes,
tasty.
The good vintages of blood. And the midwives also maintain, secret and vast records of lineage and genealogy of the drow, so that they can test and make sure all of these vintages are accurate, because many people would sell their blood for some money and say they're more important than they are. So yes, you go and watch over the eggs, and as you're doing that, we're going to switch over to Imogene and Torith. Imogene and Torith, you are both at the same place. It is a club in the Silver Quarter, which the Silver Quarter is a fancy entertainment district of Spire, towards the top of Spire. It's usually described as a cross between Las Vegas and Venice. There is a impossible canal of water that runs through the center of Silver Quarter, because it actually runs uphill, and it flows uphill, and then there's a waterfall, and it just circles around the quarter. And there's a mix of old buildings that predate the High Elven occupation, kind of fancy old nightclubs, and also just new glittering towers that have been built, apartment buildings and hotels, essentially, of the wealthy. Crime and gambling and vice are very common in the Silver Quarter. It's what it's known for. But the two of you are in a place called the Siren Song, which is an old but classy club that's right on the canals. Imogene, you sing here from time to time and have quite a following. Torith, you are aware that Imogene sings here and sometimes drop by. It's not uncommon to find you just on the nights, only the nights where she's performing, strangely enough. So there was a drow who was playing the piano, and Imogene has just finished a set of her song, and the crowd claps in the audience and cheers. There are lots of adoring fans. You actually see some of them throw flowers up towards the stage area. All these unusual and pale roses are being tossed up there. And Imogene, as you step off of the stage, you catch the eye of the bartender, who's sort of a burly drow elf named Seven. And he sort of nods his head to call you over.
All right, I will go over.
All right, you walk over there, and Seven says, great job. You did great.
Oh, thank you.
And he hands you a drink He indicates down the bar and he says, gentleman down there. And he kind of points him out subtly. He bought this for you.
I'm gonna like take a glance down the bar and see who it is.
So you look down the bar and you don't know this person. It is a drow elf, and he's dressed in very fine clothes, all purple and silver, like a coat and a blazer, just really fine dressed up clothes. And he's sitting there by himself at the bar, and he's just sort of glancing in your direction, but not like specifically at you.
Okay. I'll pick up the drink and I'm just gonna walk down towards where he's sitting. And then just kind of like pause, like as I'm about to pass him, like, oh, thank you very much.
He says, oh, you're welcome. And he says, my name is Victorin. And I just wanted to compliment you. That was such a beautiful song, that last one.
Oh, thank you very, very much. I appreciate you saying so.
You're truly talented. Have you been playing here for very long, performing?
A few years, on and off.
I don't get here to the Silver Quarter very often, but I was drawn right into this place. I guess that matches the name.
You're not the first to say that, for sure.
So, where are you from in the Spire?
Here. I live here in the Silver Quarter.
Oh, that's not so bad.
No, it's not. I'm very lucky.
I'm from down Spire a bit, the middle city.
Oh.
But it's nice to get up here now and then.
Yes, I would imagine so. Can I help you with something?
Well, I just mainly wanted to make introductions. I may be around here in the future.
Oh. All right then.
But please have a nice rest of your evening and enjoy your drink.
And you too. Thank you. I'll walk away. I'm not going to drink the drink. I'm going to find a subtle place to either dump it out or just put it down.
Okay. As he gets up, he leaves some coins on the bar for the bartender. And you notice out of the corner of your eye that he moves his drink, and the napkin that's sitting there has some writing on it. And he doesn't acknowledge it. He just gets up and says goodbye and walks out of the establishment.
Yeah, I'll go over and look at it. And I just I'm gonna like put the glass down, and then when I put the glass on, I'm just gonna take the napkin.
Now you take the napkin, and written on it is a poem, and then what appears to be an address. But in the upper right of it, you see a quarter moon drawn. And you make the connection that this is a code. That in the ministry, the drow will sometimes pass messages to each other that are encoded. And every member of the ministry gets a codex that helps decrypt it. And usually they'll hide messages in newspapers or other things, but this appears that this message written on this napkin is a code.
Okay. All right, I will take it. I'm assuming like I wouldn't have a codex on me if
Nope.
I'm working. I probably have it at home. So I'll make note of that and take it. Do I know that Torith is here?
Yes. And Torith, you've seen this whole little interaction.
Yeah, I'm like in a back table, like in a corner, like with my little, because I have like one of those like neck scarf things that I can wrap for like when we have to go out, and I have like this big wide brimmed, kind of reddish, dark red hat, and some weird like goggles on, but I'm like sitting in the back corner.
Yeah, then I'll walk over towards him and just slide the napkin like across the table.
And you immediately notice the little quarter moon drawing in the upper corner of the napkin, and you are very familiar with codes and ciphers, and you know that this is a coded message.
Seems the time has come.
Looks that way. Yes.
We've seen this.
You wouldn't happen to have your codex on you, would you?
We might.
Yeah. If anyone would, you probably would.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
And I sort of mumble to myself just a little bit. Time has come. We're here. Yes, I know. And I'll flip the codex subtly.
Okay, so you open up your codex, and there are all kinds of rules about how you figure out what page of the cipher you're supposed to use, and it's all very sneaky. It's all very spycraft, but you know what you're supposed to be checking to get the proper cipher to decrypt it. And you start scrawling your own notes in like your journal, decrypting it, and the message says, "Imogene, bring Torith. Go to the cathedral hatchery. See Cahosa."
Well, that seems fairly straightforward. I guess we should be on our way.
Yes, we should.
We do that.
All right.
As like just before, as we're getting up, I just kind of look at Imogene. We enjoyed your singing.
Thank you. I'm glad you could make it.
So you step out of the siren song into the streets of the Silver Quarter. It is evening, though most of the Spire is indoors anyway, but the streets are fairly dark. The Silver Quarter is covered in mage lights and what are also called galvanic lighting, which is a human invention that uses like electrified gases and things to create its neon lighting, basically, all over the section of the city, reflecting off the streets and off the buildings. It's very glitzy and glamorous, but in a sort of tawdry, loud way. The lights are reflecting off of the canals as you step out of the siren song. There's a canal right there in front of you with a dock that sometimes the gondolas will pull right up to so that people can go into the club. You're probably dressed all fancy, Imogene, since you were performing.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you want to? So you're dressed up. You don't have any. I mean, you probably don't usually have any weapons, but you definitely don't have any weapons right now. Torith, I don't know what you would have on you.
I'm pretty much just as I normally dress. So I have pretty much everything on me.
You just have to be careful. Like, Torith is actually pretty safe here because you have a folding crossbow as a weapon, which folds up and looks pretty inconspicuous when you're not using it. But definitely up Spire, like you are, weapons are very illegal for Drow to carry, and there are patrols of the city guard who will check different checkpoints. What is?
I say, yeah, is depending on how time sensitive it seems, I'd probably want to try to like run home and at least grab like a dagger or something just to not be completely defenseless.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, there wasn't a specified time in the message, But I would say you feel you have time to stop home and grab whatever you need. Are you going to still dress all fancy?
I mean, fancy's the only mode she's got.
Yep, and it's definitely not out of place in the silver quarter, at least.
Like maybe a little less fancy, but she's still like dresses and glitz and glamour all the time.
All right, so you go home and grab a dagger. I'm just gonna like conceal that somewhere.
Yeah, I'll just like boot it or something, just somewhere hidden away. Not that like she doesn't have pockets. Just kind of tuck it somewhere.
Torith, what does your folding crossbow look like when it's folded?
I was just thinking about that. I think it kind of looks like this little like wooden box sort of thing. Like it slides open and it has like it's like a box part, but like you pull out the lid and like you start unfolding it, but it looks just like a little box, and I keep just some like rolled up pieces of paper in it.
Nice, I like it.
And it's got like filigree working and all that kind of stuff along the sides and stuff. Fancy looking box.
I like it. So yeah, you know that basically as far as the way the Spire is laid out, the cathedral hatchery where Kahose is sort of like a level down from you. Not a long trip, and there's like a large stairway that runs throughout, like a spiral staircase that runs throughout the Spire. There's also a lift, which are like, it's more than one lift, but like a mechanical lift system that you can use. That the lift is more guarded. They're usually city watch that at the different lift stops. But either one is an option. It's not a long trip for you.
What's like closest in proximity?
The closest, the lift is closer to where you are.
That works for me in a dress. Lift better.
All right, so you, the two of you, cross one of the bridges, the canal bridges, to the center of the Silver Quarter, which is where the lift is. The guards here don't. I mean, they're watching the lift, but they just sort of give you a cursory glance. They don't think you look particularly suspicious. Especially Imogene looks like a well-to-do Silver Quarter resident. Torith is a little weird, but they see a lot of that around here.
Well, as we approach the guards, they like take off my hat and I like undo the scarf just to look like I'm not like concealing anything. To look like we aren't concealing.
They nod at you.
My pronouns.
You notice that the guards look very tired and worn out, like they have had a long day, week, month. And you do know, because of the current situation with the rationing laws, that the city guard has really been on edge, especially in the lower districts. But they're feeling it even up here. You hop on the lift, and there are a few other people who get into the lift car with you. And it lurches, and there's like a creaking sound as the old mechanics of the lift lower you down a level. And it's a short, maybe like 1 minute lowering, and then it stops, and it says upper perch and ivory row. And they escort the people who get off at this level, including you, step off the lift. Immediately when you step off the lift, around you, you are in the middle of a human neighborhood. Humans exist in this world. Basically, the humans come from far to the west, and they meddle in all sorts of ancient technology. There was a race that people know little about who came before the elves and before the humans, who built Spire, as well as other places and strange technology. And the humans love to find this stuff, take it apart, and re-engineer it, which is about as crazy and dangerous as it sounds, but they do it a lot. And there are a number of them who come to Spire either because they've founded universities or research centers here, or they work as mercenaries for the Elfir, the High Elves. And this lift stops in the middle of a human neighborhood called Little White Cross. And what you do know about the human lands is, there is a large capital of human civilization called White Cross that is located inside an arcology carved into a mountain, which is all ancient technology, and that the humans have been taking it apart for a long time. And just as soon as you step off the lift, there is right in front of you, pretty much, is a large tower. It sort of looks like a Jacob's ladder. It's got electricity just running up it in these coils. And you don't even know what purpose exactly it serves. You imagine some of the humans who work on it must know, but it just crackles, and these ropes of electricity just run up this tower. People who step off the lift with you don't seem to pay any mind. It's been here for quite a while. No one tries to figure out what the humans are doing exactly. But yeah, you're in the middle of this human neighborhood, and you know that you basically just have to cross through Little White Cross to get to the cathedral hatchery.
We should be on our way then.
They do make wonderful things. Lost words.
So you're walking down the street, cutting through Little White Cross. And the streets, as you get farther from the lift, the streets get narrower and darker and a little bit stranger. Things here are lit. The humans don't see in the dark as well as the Drow elves do. So they've lit everything brightly with their galvanic lighting. But you're starting to pass through some narrow alleyways and passages which are not as well lit, or where the light flickers and hums. And you're moving a little bit swifter through this area, anxious to get to the cathedral hatchery. And you hear a voice behind you go, "Oh, hey, some fancy elves."
I'm gonna turn around and look. Probably shouldn't.
So you turn around slowly, and you see three humans there. And they're sort of standing at the other end of the alleyway that you had entered like a few seconds ago. And they're maybe 20 feet from you. They don't look very well off. I mean, things have been rough in Spire lately with the rationing. But these three, 2 men and 1 woman, they don't look like they've bathed in a few days. They're wearing like these really threadbare coats and frayed scarves that they have tied around them. One of them is stumbling a little bit and has a half-empty bottle of some kind of greenish liquor.
How wide are we, like in a single file situation? Or
Probably double file.
Okay.
You look awfully well off. Everybody in the city's suffering, but you're all fancy like.
We don't want any trouble. We're just trying to get somewhere.
Well, I'm sure from looking at that outfit that you can afford the toll. You're passing through Little White Cross. Pair of fancy, well-off elves. They can spare a little bit of change our way.
Do I even have money on me?
You do? So that's abstracted in Spire.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume you do. You're probably the wealthiest of the characters. So if you don't have money on you, you at least have valuable things on you. And coinage in Spire, there's 2 types of coins. There are stens, which are the Drow Elven currency, which are actually shaped like nails. and the longer the stem, the more it's worth. But they basically look like nails. And then there's the queens, which are the human currency, which is a coin that's accepted like through numerous civilizations and nations. So they're fairly common in Spire.
All right. I'm just gonna like glance at Torith quickly, and then I'm just gonna take like a ring off my finger and toss it towards them and be like, let us be on our way and you can be on yours.
Okay. I'm going to have you make a roll for that.
Okay.
So you're going to roll compel plus crime. So basically, rolls start out as a 1d10 and you add d10s to a pool if you're proficient in the skills or the domains. So compel is the skill, crime is the domain. And Imogene does have compel, but she does not have crime. So you would have 2d10.
Right. And you take the
higher. Yep.
That's a 9.
Ooh, that's good. So a 9 is a success, like a flat out success. So you don't take any stress. There are, failures. There's critical failures. There's successes where you take stress. So there's just a no stress success, and then there's critical successes. And a 9 is success. So you toss this ring over to him. The lead one, actually the lead one is a woman, which you actually couldn't tell at first. She's a fairly burly built woman, and she's covered in this like dirty jacket. She just snatches it out of the air. She says, "Oh, this is nice. Very nice. Well, pleasure doing business with you." And Cahosa, you had been waiting for Torith and Imogene to arrive, and you had taken it upon yourself to just keep an eye on the neighborhood for their arrival. I mean, things have been pretty on edge lately. And you catch sight of them in an alleyway nearby. And you see them stop, and you see them turn around. And you creep forward a little bit to investigate further, and you spot the 3 humans at the other end of the alleyway. You can't make out the conversation from where you're standing, but it looks a little bit tense.
I would wait in the shadow, because unless there was fallout, I couldn't do my thing. Yeah, so I think she'll wait to see how they handle it, and if there's fallout. If not, she'll wait for them to finish what they're doing.
So the woman caught the ring, and she's eyeing it over. She says, "What about you, funny boy?" Looks over at Torith.
We've already given you something.
She's already given us something.
I'm going to use that didn't happen. To make them that in another time I had actually given them something.
So the way that didn't happen works is it basically lets you redo a roll.
Oh, okay. So I can't do a roll. So can I try and give them something and then pretend that it's something else? Because I don't have anything to give them.
What would you like to pretend to give them?
I have something that looks like money, but it's not really money.
I think when Torith like starts reaching for things, Imogene's gonna like put a hand out, so I'll be like, I think that would suffice for both of us.
Make a let's see. Torith, are you sort of going to back her up on this?
Uh, yes. Oh wait, I have compel.
You do.
I don't know what that does.
So
Yeah, I
I'm
guess.
gonna. If you're gonna back her up, I'm gonna consider it like a assisted compel
Yeah.
check.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
All
Okay.
right. So Imogene, if you want to make a compel this time, you'll have 3d10 because Torith is helping you as
Okay.
well.
And that's a 10.
Wow. It's just 110 because the 10 is special and you keep track of any other 10s you get in the
Girl,
roll.
I got a 10, an 8, and a 6.
Okay. So that's a critical success. So yeah, tell me how you, I mean, you mentioned that you think you've paid for both of them.
Yeah.
And Torith is going to sort of back you up on this.
Yeah, I think I'll just be like, you can clearly see its value, so that obviously pays your silly toll for the two of us.
Well, I suppose that's fair. I can get a bit of food for this. She's currently spinning the ring on her finger. All right then, come on boys. Let's let these two pass. And one of them takes a big swig of that pale greenish liquor, coughs a little bit. All right. And they kind of spin on their heels and leave the other end of the alley. And Kahosa, you saw this whole little exchange.
Sorry, so am I back by the cathedral where they're approaching, or?
You're not back all the way to the cathedral. You're maybe 60 feet from this end of the alleyway that they're coming from.
Am I okay? Where the humans are walking, are they going to pass me?
No, they're going out the other
Damn.
other end. I mean, you could circle around a building and sneak up on them, but they're not coming towards you.
I gotta scoop around to go. I want to. I think she would skitter around through the shadows, and I want to use my protector's eye, which lets me know above all else what in particular is sort of important to one of them. And what
Which
they
one
want,
are you gonna
and
pick?
what the leader, the girl.
Okay.
What she wants to protect more than anything else.
Okay. So give me a. Let's see. I'm gonna say that's a.
It just says once per situation. I get to do it.
Yeah. Well, first for sneaking around the building so that
okay.
you're not seen.
Fair enough.
Give me just a 1d10 roll because you don't have sneak.
Damn it! Why am I not? Oh no. It's a 9.
Woo.
Oh, okay. So that's a success. You sneak around the building and you kind of look around the corner of the building and you can see them come out that far end of the alleyway and they haven't seen you. And then you use your protector's eye ability. Is there a roll for that at all?
No,
or is that
it
just
doesn't say. It says once per.
once?
I can do it once per situation. I just get to ask
Okay.
you what's sort of important to someone.
So you focus on the lead woman, and you're studying her clothes, and you see some trinkets that she's wearing around her neck, and you see a locket, and you sort of squint your eyes and focus in on that locket, and there's a picture of 2 people in it, sort of like I'm forgetting the word now, but those very old style photographs, like the Old West, when photography was first invented, where it would be on the metal plate.
Oh, like a little lithograph or something like that?
Yes, yeah, sort of like that.
Like a tintype.
Yeah, there's a photograph and that sort of 2 people in the locket. One of them is the woman, and one of them is a man close to her age. You suspect it might be either a spouse or a sibling, and seems to be very important to her because it's the only trinket of sentimental value she's wearing on herself.
Okay, I want to come out of the shadows as they're like walking by.
Okay.
And I want to step in front of them, and I'm still in my ceremonial midwife robes. And I just want to slowly approach them and look at her in particular and say, I know that Little White Cross is where you stay, but you share a space with the cathedral where the midwives reside, and if you bother my friends again, I'll have to come and pay a visit to you and also him, and point to her neck.
She sort of steps back a little bit. You are sort of holding yourself at as tall as you can, and you're pretty imposing. The midwives are just imposing in general, especially to the humans who don't understand drow culture as well. And so she instinctively, even before you speak, she stops short and takes a step back. And then as you sort of vaguely threaten the figure in the locket, she takes another couple. Yeah, okay, maybe it was a specific threat. She takes another couple steps back and lets out a little gasp. Says, our trouble isn't with you. We're just gonna go back home.
Be careful of who you interrupt when they're coming to visit me.
I didn't know they were visiting the midwives. We're sorry, right, boys? And the two just sort of nod. Oh yeah, we'll be on our way now.
Go, off with you. Run home.
And they actually walk very quickly away from you, further deeper into Little White Cross.
And then I want to go back with my friends.
All right, do you go through the alleyway, like behind them, or are you gonna circle back around the building?
I mean, they're headed towards the most direct path to the cathedral, right?
Yes.
I will just meet up with them.
All right. So you guys are walking, the two of you are walking towards the cathedral, and then, like, out of nowhere, suddenly by your side,
as she do,
is Kahasa, and she's just sort of there.
Hi.
And that's a little unnerving, but she's done this before.
I was expecting you.
I don't think I'll ever get used to you doing that.
Hello, matron.
Hello.
I looked at Imogene really quick. I apologize.
Oh.
I did not see that. We did not see that coming.
Don't beat yourself up over it. Everything is fine.
And the two of you, I was going to say, the two of you suspect that Kahosa has saw what was happening, judging by the direction she came.
I just had to go have a little talk, you know? Rude neighbors sometimes we have here.
Well, I'm sure they've learned their lesson if you've had a talking to with them.
Do humans learn lessons?
Let's hope.
And the three of you walk back to the cathedral hatchery. The cathedral itself, the Cathedral of Our Glorious Lady, which is devoted there. So there is a trinity of drow moon goddesses, revered above all other deities in drow culture. There are actually dozens of gods that the drow venerate in some way, but the three aspects of the moon are the most important. However, since the High Elves have taken over Spire, two of the three aspects of the moon goddess have been outlawed. The ministry, which runs the rebellion that you're part of, is also a church to the new moon, or the dark side of the moon. The full moon, or the light side of the moon, is the religion that is still allowed, and this cathedral is devoted to her. And then there's the third aspect, which is the blood moon. and they have been driven underground and have splintered into radical factions, and they're known as the Crimson Vigilance. They are essentially drow terrorists. They will stop at no lengths to get the High Elves out of Spire, and they don't tend to forgive drow who will work with the High Elves, even though most of them do because they have to survive in some way. They are definitely extremists. And they don't get along very well with the Ministry either, because they see the Ministry as taking half measures when full measures are necessary. But the cathedral itself is like a sprawling sort of campus of old churches and dormitories, many of which have been converted to other uses over time. And then beneath it is a twisting maze of tunnels. The hatchery is part of that twisting maze of tunnels. You also know that the Ministry operates out of some of those tunnels. That there are hidden meeting spots for the Ministry there. And there's a sort of a relationship or understanding between the hatchery, the midwives of the hatchery, and the Ministry. Although the priests of the cathedral above don't necessarily approve of the Ministry's presence. They're constantly afraid. They spend a lot of time taking care of the poor and the sick drow, and they're afraid that the Ministry is going to bring the city guard or worse down upon their heads. But Cahosa leads you through a tunnel into the hatchery, and now the three of you are moving through these like narrow, dark, barely lit tunnels. Very different from the Silver Quarter, where you usually spend your time, Imogene. Torith, though, the tunnels are sort of your natural habitat. You spend a lot of time in the Vermissian, which is a warped, interdimensional, failed subway system that runs through the Spire. So these tunnels are not that unusual to you.
We are comfortable in tunnels.
Yeah, I think Imogene's like holding the bottom part of her dress, like as they're walking by.
Yeah, probably wise. And Imogene, you hear like skittering of things, like every few seconds, just out of like some dark corner, you hear like little like chattering noises or skittering legs, and you're like, not so sure about what that is, whatever it is. Doesn't seem to phase the other two at all, but
Yeah, Torith is definitely standing more upright. Like when they walk through like more crowded areas, they keep down and they keep the hood down, and here they're sort of more a little more confident in their body language.
And as you're passing through the tunnels, Cahosa, you lead them back to a sort of a central meeting area in the hatchery. And sitting there, you knew that she was waiting, is your magister of your cell, Lenora. And Lenora she's a very proper, straight-laced, tense, precise person. She's been in the Resistance longer than any of you have. And you only can guess at the number of things she had to do to get to where she is. But she's an older drow woman, still very beautiful, except that she has a scar that runs across her left eye, and she wears an eye patch over it. But you can see this like gouge that runs above and below the eye patch. And she has a long silver hair that's in a tight braid, and the tight braid is currently hanging in front of her right shoulder. Her clothing is all very practical, except for this black and gold half cape that is over her right shoulder too. And she's leaning against one of the walls. Right, glad you all made it.
Good to see you, Magister.
Florentine won't be joining us for this job. I have him off doing something else of importance to the Ministry. But you shouldn't need his skills. This is a simple job. As you're aware, with the rationing laws, recruitment has been up for the ministry. In a way, that's good. There are a lot of angry people. There are a lot of desperate people. A lot of people willing to join the fight that weren't before. However, it's stretched our resources very thin. The ministry has arranged for a supply drop of sorts, contraband, to get into Spire and into our hands. But we haven't been able to bring it in through the normal routes. The north docks are all being closely watched by the city guard. So we brought it through an unorthodox method. The sky whales that bring things overland through the air to the skydocks up in the upper Spire. Usually when they're docked and offloaded, they're inspected very closely. But our supplies won't reach the docks. We've arranged to have them dropped over the side of a sky whale to be caught in the nets of the airlarks below. The rest of you know a little bit about the airlarks. So the skydocks are near the top of the Spire. It's sort of an opening in the side of the Spire, whereas a dock system set up, there are some defenses. There are also these shelves of megacorvids, which are very large ravens and crows. Well, I should say very large, but they're like a large dog size large, like mastiff sized. And they are actually used by young boys and girls who will be messengers who will travel on them. They'll be messengers, and they'll also offload cargo from the sky whales. And this actually, they have a whole sort of system where they have like flocks of crows and ravens jointly carrying like goods off of the sky whales onto the docks. But the airlarks are special. Below the sky docks, there's netting, because occasionally things fall from the sky whales or from the docks themselves. Sometimes things are shoved off of a sky whale, but that's a different story. And they hopefully land in the netting below. And occupying those nets are gangs of orphans who ride on the megacorvids and will catch people or supplies or things that fall and sell them off back to the people who they belong to or into the black market, finding a quick way to make a buck. They are also not always trusted because they are known to arrange for things to be pushed off of ships or people to be pushed off of sky whales so that they can catch them and then make them pay for their freedom or just shove them off the nets. But Lenora tells you that she has arranged for the contraband to be pushed off of a certain sky whale and collected by the airlarks below. A boy named Dash and his gang of airlarks will secure the package. You have to meet with Dash, give him an agreed upon sum of money, inspect the cargo to make sure it's there, and then it must find its way back here to the hatchery. She says she slides over a bag of coins that are jingling. And she says there are 40 queens in there. 20 is the payment for Dash to have secured the contraband successfully. And 20 you may use to recruit them to help you get it back to the hatchery if you wish. Contraband is a mix of goods. There are some human guns packed in there for arming some of the ministry. There are also forged documents and special Alfier inks that we use to create cover identities and false deeds for various properties in the Spire. Make sure that those are all there and the contraband. Return them to me here at the hatchery. And that is all. Simple job. You can handle it?
We can handle that.
Good. So she hands the bag of coins over to, I'll say she hands it to Torith.
He has pockets.
I have lots of pockets. I am just all pockets.
She says, do be careful, though. The streets are very dangerous these days.
We've noticed.
Hopefully we can do something about that soon. Anyway, do you have any questions for me? I shouldn't linger too long.
Yeah, I'll look to the other two and be like, no.
There seem to be a lot of guards. Are the skydocks accessible at the moment?
It's a good question. The skydocks are heavily guarded right now. However, you don't actually need to go to the skydocks themselves to meet with Dash. Towards one end of the Silver Quarter, there is a hole in the Spire that is used by the Corvid riders. Near that hole, Dash has a hideout for his gang. And she's sort of, she reaches into a pocket, unfolds a rough map that shows just this. There's a wedge that sticks out of the spire, and you know that that's the cathedral and the hatchery sits in a lower part of that wedge. The Silver Quarter sits in one part of it, and the hole is right through that wedge. So it shows the hole, and it shows this little square building drawn on the map, and this is where Dash and his gang hide out. So you can go there and make contact with them directly, and you won't have to go to the more heavily guarded sections of the skydocks.
That seems like a better option. Imogene, the Silver Quarter is your area of expertise.
Yes, I know the location that she was talking about. It's not far.
I have every confidence that you can handle this. You've done much harder work.
We won't let you down.
Good. Now I will slip away into the shadows. Good luck. And she just turns and leaves down a side passageway of the room, leaving the three of you in this chamber.
Well,
Sounds simple enough.
I suppose guess we should go visit Dash then, shall we?
Yes. Oh.
Does anyone need anything first?
I have everything. We have everything.
Torith also knows that he has an ability that basically lets him resupply.
Yeah. We
almost
have
anywhere.
everything. We have everything that we need. And if we don't have it now, we will have it then.
Did Imogene get a chance to get her stuff?
Yeah.
She did grab a dagger.
Okay.
Yeah, I grabbed it on the way down. We grabbed it on the way over.
All right.
Okay, and I think before we head there, this would probably be a good part to take a 10-minute break.
Okay. Sounds like a good idea. So I will set that up. Thanks for hanging out. Everyone go get yourself a drink. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is so awesome. Oh my god, Jason.
We'll be back soon.
Jason, I love this world. I'm so excited.
I know, this world is so good!
Just wait.
Oh my god, so excited. Okay, we'll see you in 10 minutes. Bye!
Jackrabbit.
That definitely came through. Hi everyone, we're back. Thanks for hanging out with us while we went for a break. I hope you also went for a break and hydrated or dehydrated as you so needed.
Anti-hydrated.
Anti-hydrated, right. That's our term here. Yeah, so Jason, I guess I'll let you let's get back to this thing.
Okay. So yeah, you are, I imagine, heading towards the Silver Quarter.
Yep.
Yes.
And as you're walking there, Torith keeps producing books from somewhere. You're not really sure where, maybe some pockets or something, but he seems to go through like half a dozen different books, and he's flipping through them and reading quickly while you're walking.
Does he chuck them as he's done
No,
with them?
no, I imagine not. That chucking books, that was horrible.
Okay, so it's not like whip out a book, read it, chuck. No, that's not the right
No.
one. Like
No, it goes back into a pocket
each
somewhere.
one is gently like caressed and then put back away.
These are my children.
And I'm sitting here with barely a place to keep a dagger. I'm like, where is he getting these books from?
Yeah. Does he speak to each one lovingly before putting it away?
Well, you just hear me. You hear me mumbling, like just like facts about the smuggling in the crime dock or under the skydocks, and I'm just like, fences are usually, and you just hear like little bits and pieces. Careful of. Yes.
And the two of you are not sure how he's able to walk and navigate Spire while reading,
Yeah,
and not like run into things or fall in a pit or something.
Like you like see me like reading, and like there's like an obstruction, and I just sort of like step over it, and like I obviously haven't seen it, but I knew it was there. It's just, and my voice keeps like changing, like it's different people saying different facts.
But we have seen / heard this before because we
Yes.
do know Torith.
So you know
Yep.
that I'm doing my thing.
And for everybody watching, this is a Vermissian Sage ability called Obsessive Researcher, where each session they can basically get a knack, which is a like mastery amount of skill in one specific thing, and they can't have the same thing for 2 sessions in a row because they get bored. And Torith is studying up on fences and smugglers of the skydocks.
So I have a knack in the crime as it pertains to the skydocks, which I think also gives me like just a little bit of like what to be careful of, like, you know, or how crime gets caught, or or who to watch out for. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I leave that to you. However,
so
the crime knack works.
You're reading these books, and actually at one point you pull out a newspaper and you're reading a newspaper, and I mean, like,
Yeah, like
without-
it looks like a little book, and then I start unfolding it, and then you guys are just like, it's just the whole newspaper, and I'm definitely just, yeah.
That is amazing.
I circle a couple like it's in like the I think it's like in like the crime notification. You know how there's the newspaper has like the police report thing, like, and so I'm like reading like guard patrol reports or like announcements.
And the two of you have no idea if this is like a recent newspaper or not, but he seems very focused on circling certain crime reports. But yeah, I mean, you're reading these books, and they go in depth on the smugglers and fences of the skydocks. They're kind of historical. Like, you know, they talk about the airlarks, because the airlarks as a thing have been around for a while, even before the High Elven occupation of Spire. The airlarks existed, and they've always been like roving bands of orphan children for the most part, because the children are small enough to ride on the megacorvids. They're fast. There's actually in Spire, still to this day, there is a Mega Corvid racing like league. And a lot of Airlarks dream of being Mega Corvid racers. But it costs money to get into the competitions and stuff. So most of them are too poor, and turn to crime as a way to try to fund their dream of becoming racers someday. But yeah, none of your books are recent enough. Your newspaper might be. None of your books are recent enough to talk about the current gangs because they're all children. I mean, none of them have been around that long. But the Airlarks as a thing have been around for centuries, and their methods have been largely the same that whole time.
Kosa leans into Imogene as like Torith is doing this stuff and just says, I wonder if you or I were to reach into his coat, if we would also find books of interest.
And Torith just sort of mumbles, "You found things before. We don't mind when you reach."
It's good to know.
Still, like, just reading. Not even...
Oh. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Imogene seems slightly concerned though at this whole line.
Yeah. Imogene's definitely like, pass.
Kosa's just wondering if she could find books on, like, lineage for that delicious, delicious good vintages of blood. That's all.
I just mumbled to Kosa too, like, you prefer the bottom left.
Yeah. I'll remember that. Thank you. I am making a note.
Bottom left pocket.
Left pocket.
So I have sort of like a Dewey Decimal System for the pockets in my cloaks and robes of like where I keep subject. It's all by subject. It's like not Dewey Decimal. It's like the Library of Congress, you know. So each pocket has a letter, and that letter is associated with a certain subject. In my mind.
It all makes sense there.
In our mind, yes.
But Torith also, as a daily occurrence, deals with transdimensional non-geometric spaces. So his system of organization may be a little foreign to most people.
Sounds about right.
It makes sense to them.
Yeah, we know what we're doing, for the most part.
But yeah, you basically, as Torith was doing this, you walked through Little White Cross. No sign of that previous trio who harassed you on your way here. They are mysteriously absent. And Gohos is sort of leading the way through Little White Cross, and nobody blocks you or gives you a hard time, strangely. You cut straight to the lift. Yes, Torith?
I just had a question on Kosa's appearance. Like, what do the midwives like? I keep picturing like this super tall person, but like I don't know. I just trying to remember what midwives in general.
I mean, I can talk about them in general, and then if you want to talk about
Yeah, sure.
Kosa specifically.
Do
So,
it.
in general, the midwives aren't necessarily tall, but they are generally imposing. They dress very powerfully, and they favor a lot of reds and blacks in their clothing, in their robes. And they all are, they all venerate, in addition to the moon goddesses that are important to all Drow, the Spider Queen is very important to the midwives. Legend has it, and this is pretty much known to some extent to every Drow, but especially to Torith would be familiar with these legends. The legends say that when the Drow were first cursed, because it's believed that they were cursed, that they were once high elves that were cursed by some sort of magic, that when they were first cursed and suffered under sunlight, as they still do today, they also could not have children. All of their children were born stillborn, until, out of desperation, because they saw that their time would be limited if they couldn't have children, they made a deal with the Spider Queen. The Spider Queen coveted the beauty of the drow elves and wanted her children to be beautiful like the drow elves and not hideous spiders. The drow were desperate for some way to have offspring. So there was an agreement made where the drow would lay eggs, essentially, and those eggs would be watched over by the Spider Queen and her minions, who are today the midwives. And still to this day, every once in a while, a drow child is born who has spider characteristics, will have extra limbs or extra eyes, or like a carapace exoskeleton to their skin. And most of drow society doesn't think that highly of those, sees them as like abnormalities or mutations, but the midwives immediately mark those children as special and take them into the order of the midwives, not always as a midwife, but sometimes as guards or attendants to the hatcheries, and raise them there because they're seen as blessed by the Spider Queen. So all midwives aren't necessarily tall, but they are all sort of carry a imposing power to them. And Kosa, and specifically, you can describe what you look like.
I mean, I think one of the things it says when you build a midwife character is that they have like pretty big ceremonial robes. So I imagine when she is in the hatchery, she is wearing like a full set of like very like that probably like adds to her figure. Is the sort of thing where like you can't sort of see the form, but it looks large and imposing, but then all of a sudden like limbs might come out of it. You know what I mean? But I think that when she's traveling or they're on missions and stuff like that, she does have some like lesser sort of robes that are still sort of like big and flowing, but a little more formed. And I think she has like she might even allow it to sort of like wrap and almost open up so that you can see that she has for when they're like traveling and doing stuff or on missions and stuff, she does have like pants under there, and it almost sort of splits and looks almost like tails, like coattails almost to the back. And I think she definitely like uses it along with like her abilities to blend into the shadows and like do stuff like that. And you definitely, when she wants to, like, sometimes she kind of just blends into the shadows, but sometimes when she wants to be imposing, like, there's definitely moments where she looks spookier. There's definitely moments where her spidery characteristics sort of flare out a little more. But yeah, I think she's kind of tall. I think she is she's definitely quite dark. I don't think she's very broad, but I definitely think she uses the robes and stuff like that to make herself look even bigger and more imposing. Yeah.
Also, you all know by now that she has a strange habit of just appearing out of nowhere right next to you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And oftentimes she's trying to be helpful,
mm-hmm.
but it's still a little disconcerting when she's just suddenly there at your shoulder and...
Your spider mom just wants to protect you.
Very helpful, can confirm.
Yes, she just wants to...
As we've already confirmed.
It's don't be scared. You're her friends. It's everyone else who needs to be frightened. It's fine. Yep. That's
so. You step off the lift into the Silver Quarter again. Same lift you were on earlier. The Silver Quarter hasn't changed very much. It never seems to change. It is the district that never sleeps in the Spire. There's always music coming out of the various clubs. You pass by lines, velvet rope lines of people trying to get into some members-only exclusive venue. Most of them being turned away at the door by large guards. One thing you do notice that is unusual in the Silver Quarter, Imogene's used to seeing this, but it still catches you by surprise, is you will see Alfir high elves working in relatively menial jobs in the Silver Quarter, unlike anywhere else in the Spire. The quote-unquote boss of the Silver Quarter, who seems to run everything, is a drow elf. And he makes a special habit of employing high elves who are having a rough time. He doesn't necessarily treat them great, and some people think it's a jab at the Alfear Society that he employs these discarded high elves in menial jobs. But he's definitely makes a statement with it, and you do see like just some of them are bouncers at these venues. They are all, so in another Spire background lore bit, high elves wear masks obsessively. It is considered extremely, I guess, for someone to see your face is extraordinarily vulnerable to the high elves. High elf couples who are married sometimes don't even remove their masks with their spouses. And they have numerous masks. They'll have masks for different occasions. They'll have a sleeping mask. They'll have like a formal mask. They'll have work masks depending on their job. And most of them are very ornate and complicated masks of some sort. And even the ones who are working menial jobs, like even the bouncer at a venue you walk by is wearing like a white and black mask over his face. But occasionally, and especially in the Silver Quarter, some high elves will flaunt that tradition, and they'll be especially risque with their masks and have masks that like half masks or masks that are barely a mask at all. It's very, very scandalous, but
It's like showing your ankle in like the 1800s.
yes.
Imogene wears half masks.
All the time?
Yeah, almost. Yeah, like anytime she's out around people.
Does it change often?
She's got, well, I can assume she's got a bunch depending on the outfit she's wearing.
Mm-hmm. And is
But
it
it's always just like a half, like either like a Phantom of the Opera deal or like nose up.
okay? So it's either like top half or side.
Yeah, like it never
cut.
covers her
It never
mouth.
covers her mouth. That's what I wanted to know.
That's the key detail.
That's the important part. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, you're cutting through the center of the Silver Quarter past all these busy clubs, and you know that you're heading straight for this specific narrow nook at the very edge of the Silver Quarter, where this hole cuts through the spire and where the airlarks can be found. You make your way there. You cross over the bridge over the canal, with numerous gondolas float below you. Against like the flow of the canal makes no logical sense. It actually flows uphill, rises up, and then there's a waterfall, and then it continues to flow uphill to the waterfall again in a circle. And the gondola are just passing below you, going uphill with the flow. You reach this little corner. You see this large, as advertised, this large hole. It is a perfect hole. It's not ragged or anything. It looks like it was precisely cut, and it opens in one side of this wedge, and then there's another exact similar opening the other side of the wedge. And as you're approaching it, you actually see a couple of mega corvid with riders on them fly through the hole straight through one to the other, passing through this like wedge. And past the hole, you see these tenement buildings. They're not nearly as fancy as everything else in the Silver Quarter. This is like a forgotten corner of the Silver Quarter. They're these old tenements, probably date back to pre-High Elven occupation, and they're all sort of stacked on top of each other in this corner, this wedge. And you recognize from your map this one particular block, where Dash's crew is supposed to have their hideout. And as you're approaching, you see numerous young, slight, somewhat malnutritioned children that are running around.
Are they drow children or human children?
They are almost exclusively drow. Every once in a while, you'll spot a human child. No Alfir children.
Which one do you suppose is Dash? Looks to Torith.
He would probably be better looking one. Not much, but
Are you trying to say
Yeah.
that Dash is dashing?
well,
Oh,
he would. Yes. They would most likely have just accumulated slightly more people and things.
Do we see someone that fits this description?
no. The children that you see here are all look fairly poor. Also look to be on the younger end, and you're expecting that if Dash is the boss of his gang, that he's probably one of the older children here.
Can I stop one and ask?
So you
Youngling.
just stop one of the children who's running to somewhere. And they stop short and look up at you. Yeah.
I pull out some just a little piece of food that I have. Dash. We need to know where Dash is.
Dash is outside. He spends most of his time outside on the rigging. But his crew is there, points to the squarish building that you thought you indicated on the map, and they could probably take you out there. I don't know if I'd recommend going out there just by yourself. But if you want to try.
We seem to be slightly lacking in wings, so perhaps we'll refrain for now.
This one's smart. And the kid just grabs the food out of your hand.
Yep.
So we head over to that building?
Yes.
As you approach the building, you get maybe 10 feet from this thick wooden door in the front of it. The windows you notice here, at least on the ground floor, are boarded up. They've got like pieces of wood just nailed across them. But as you start to get about 10 feet from the door, it swings open. And you see a wiry, maybe like late teenage girl leans up against the side of the frame of the door. You're not an airlark. What do you want?
We were hoping to speak to Dash. We had an appointment.
We have an arrangement.
Okay, you better not be making that up. Dash wouldn't be happy if you were lying. But that's your funeral. Follow me. And she leaves the building and moves towards the far wall of the wedge. And as you get closer to that, you can see there are ladders set up against it that go to these like scaffolding platforms, and then there'll be another ladder that goes to another platform that goes right up to the hole. And there's like a narrow platform that seems to wrap around one edge of the hole. And she just starts to scramble up one of the ladders and gets to the first landing and looks back at you and says, "Well, come on."
I do not want to go first.
I'll go. I will.
right.
I'll follow.
You climb up the
Yeah.
ladder, not quite as quick and as effortlessly as the teenage girl sort of scrambled up there. But they do hold. They hold your weight. They seem to be actually surprisingly well constructed. They looked kind of rickety, but they're actually, firmly secured to the walls of the spire.
Yeah, I'm impressed by this girl, and I'm wondering about the quality of her blood right now.
Does she have spider characteristics?
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm looking out if she's like. I mean, like climbing up really efficiently. It's kind of spidery. That I'm so Kos is a little bit impressed. He's like,
You
keeping
don't
an eye-
notice any like visible spider characteristics, but you don't know. I mean, she, like most of these kids, is probably an orphan. You have no idea. Like she might have some sort of important lineage to her blood that she just doesn't even know, isn't even aware of.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking. I'm just keeping an eye. That's
All
all.
right.
Spider
After you climb up to a
Mom
few,
has her eyes on you, kiddo.
after you climb up a few like landings, she looks back at you, and she's like, "What?"
You seem a skilled child. That's all.
I am, and I'm not a child.
All right. I apologize for assuming you. You all seem young to me, but you seem extremely capable.
Well, thanks. Could you tell that one to hurry up a little bit? She points down to Imogene, who's like slowly and carefully climbing the ladders. And
I am in a dress.
you are not properly attired for climbing ladders.
Yeah.
Doing the best I can.
Yes, she didn't pack her climbing dress today, unfortunately.
Fanciest climber.
I'm useful in other situations.
We need to get Imogene some Hakama style, like split leg dress pants.
But yeah, as you're having this conversation with her, Kahosa, Torith catches up to you, and eventually Imogene reaches that landing, and the girl waves you forward and goes around the edge of the hole towards the outside.
So is there like a platform leading to outside?
Yeah, there's like a U-shaped platform that curls around the edge of the hole.
I would like to use my spider hand. No, I can't. I don't actually to carefully stick to the walls. No, I don't have that.
I mean,
Yet.
it is a narrow landing, but there is a platform that
Okay.
circles around the edge of the.
But like, so it goes outside the tower?
It goes outside the spire.
It goes outside the spire and is like a mile up in the sky?
Yeah, I mean, probably where the nets are is like 3/4 of a mile up, but yeah, it's high.
Okay. Kos is acting
don't
totally
like it.
chill about this. I'm the one freaking out. Like, Kos is cool. She's following.
Okay. So as the three of you circle around this platform carefully, this is actually, I don't know if any of you have ever been to the top of the spire. Probably not. There's like no particular reason any three of you would have been to New Heaven. But so this is like a really crazy sight to you. You go on the outside of this hole, and you see up against the side of this outside of the spire, there's more of this scaffolding and rigging. And stretching from various points are netting made of rope. And it's like, I mean, the gaps in the netting are maybe like a couple inches. It's like a dense rope netting. But then, surprisingly, towards the farther along the wall of the spire, some of it is not rope netting. It actually appears to be spider webbing of some sort. Like thick spider webbing. And they're just, you can see places where the spider webbing just ends, and then there's like rope netting that's been patched into it and stitched to it, and tied into the spider webbing.
Where is this coming from? Is there a spider-blessed child here?
You are not sure. And you don't know how long this spider web, you've never seen this before. You've never looked at the outside of 3/4 of the way up the spider. But you also see just in this rigging, there's a lot happening here. There are a lot of children and a lot of large birds and small birds. A lot of ravens and crows. Some of them are like the size of like mastiff dogs. But others are just normal sized ravens and crows. And they're just perched on every available spot in this rigging. You can see that there are small children on the backs of some of these large ones, and they'll just like hop from one piece of rigging to another. So you're sort of awkwardly sticking close to these platforms, but the kids, the airlarks out here are so used to this, they'll just like fly from one perch to another.
That's awesome.
And it's quite busy out here. There are dozens of these children. And the girl just sort of keeps moving ahead and keeps beckoning for you to follow her.
Kosa's keeping an eye out to see if she can figure out where these webs came from. She is.
Okay.
We're outside of the Spire now too, right? Like
You are outside of the Spire.
And it's like, is it nighttime or is it like daytime?
It is dusk right now.
Okay.
So drow are sensitive to sunlight on their exposed skin. But the sun is mostly down right now. And it's not enough sunlight to bother you.
Wanted to make sure that if I was either like in wrapped up Torith mode or.
And you can see that a lot of the children out here are wearing like fur-lined coats and scarves because the wind does whip around the Spire at this height, and it's cold.
Yeah, I guess I have one hand on my hat at the moment.
That's probably a good idea. But yeah, she beckons you forward. Cahosa is sort of examining and looking at the spider webs. You don't spot any spiders in them or any source of where they came from. You're focused on those. Torith is holding onto his hat. Imogene, the first thing you notice is you look up, and there are sky whales above you. Sky whales are not, as the name suggests, like normal ocean whales. They are these large sort of insectoid creatures that have numerous, I think they have like generally 6 legs that unfold from the bottoms of their bodies, but are usually tucked close to their abdomens. They have these very small insectoid heads, and they do have like fins, like they have like fins on the end and fins on the side. And then they have these large sacs of gas that make up like the most of their bodies, the upper part of their bodies. And they use those, and they can basically float, and they can control the release of the gas and ascend or descend. And usually when they do so, they sing songs, which sound like whale songs. There's these haunting melodies. You see 3 of them above you. 2 are one is moving towards the skydocks, which are also above you, and it's just this large platform. You see some ballista are mounted on it as defenses. You also see these shelves where the mega corvids will land as supplies are ferried back and forth. But you see one sky whale is moving towards the docks, one seems to be leaving, and there's another sky whale that is just hovering a little bit off the sky docks, and this one is unusual. It is covered in platforms like decking around the sides of its body, and also has like auxiliary decks that are floating with hot air balloons that are attached to the main decks, but are just floating separate of the sky whale nearby, connected with bridges. And there are people just milling about, and you hear music.
Does anyone else hear that?
And as soon as she mentions it, like Kosa, you sort of snap away from your focus on the spider webs, and yeah, you hear music. And Torith, you hear music also. And you all look up and you see the sky whales, and you see this one in particular that's all decked out, and you see people milling about on it.
Is that a party whale?
It does look like there's a party on it.
Can I think about can I look at that? Do I know anything about what that is?
You know it is a sky whale with a bunch of weird decking on it that is not usual. I mean, usually sky whales are used to bring cargo from one place to another. All this decking and the very strange balloon decks that are attached to it would all be totally unnecessary for cargo.
That seems like the strangest cargo we've ever seen.
Sometimes people are cargo.
I'm gonna like try to call ahead to the girl that's like leading us and be like, that whale, what's going on up there?
She turns and looks at you, and her look gets very dark for a moment, and she actually spits, not against the wind, perfectly with the wind.
Smart kid.
And she says, "Spoiled Alfir. They party on the sky whales while the rest of us go hungry. The airlocks I'll live off the scraps."
Party whale.
Party whale.
And from what I hear, it isn't even all Alfir up on that one. Some drow too. Forgotten where they've come from.
Imogene just takes a step. Tries to look less conspicuous.
It's all right, child. One day the Spider Queen will bless us all and teach them all a lesson.
And the girl says, "Well, let's hope it's soon." And then she climbs onto the next section of rigging. And she beckons for you to follow, and she doesn't really wait. She moves up to this larger platform that's fastened somehow to the very side of the spire. And you see maybe half a dozen different children milling on this platform, but they're all surrounding one older child. This one is, he looks like he's holding court. He's standing very tall, even though he's probably shorter than all three of you. And he's got this just smirk on his face that makes you want to punch him, but even though you haven't even met him yet. And he's got this fairly fancy, considering all the other urchins that are around him, fur-lined jacket that just has this thick fur around the collar. And he's got a scarf that's hanging loose around his neck right now. He has fingerless gloves that he's wearing that look to be made out of some sort of leather. And then he has a set of goggles that are right now pulled up on his head. So they're just sitting on his head.
It's like an aviator pilot Peter Pan and the Lost Boys is what I'm like picturing.
Yes, that would be accurate. And he is drow. He's drow hair colors and skin colors are always monochrome of some way, but they can do different combinations. But this one has dark, very dark, almost just totally black skin, and short, spiky white hair. And the girl turns to you and says, "You're looking for Dash. You found him."
Thank you for your help.
Yeah, no problem. And then she sort of just joins the other kids that are milling on this platform.
Is there space for us up there? How sturdy are these platforms?
This is a larger platform, and like none of them look sturdy, but they've been surprisingly sturdy. Like whatever they're fastened to the side of the spire with is holding up. Like they don't even have any sort of give to them when you walk. But they're all like cobbled together out of wood and various other materials. So they look shoddy, but they seem to be holding up.
Does anyone on this platform look like they spin webs?
Very single-minded.
Listen, I have like, my missions are important. Here are my missions. Very important. Here is collecting blood to improve the drow race. It is the topmost important.
I'm going to say give me an investigate and occult roll. So I know you have both of those, I believe.
Okay.
So that would be
3d10.
3d10.
Okay. 5, a 7, and a 9.
Okay, so you got a 9. So that's a success without stress. So you scan the crowd, looking specifically for any sort of spider-like characteristics. And that's when you notice that one of these kids, not the central figure that you've been pointed to as Dash, but one of them has an extra set of arms that they appear to be hiding underneath their like long jacket, but you catch like hints of them as they're moving.
My precious, precious spider-blessed baby. Okay, anyways, I can act normal now, but I've noted this. This is an important thing I have noted. This child, is it like they are hanging out like normally with the rest of the group? No one's like avoiding them or anything?
No one seems to be avoiding them. That they seem to be themselves a little bit standoffish to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like they seem to be doing their own thing. You see them moving some containers of things.
With their extra arms?
No, they are not using their extra arms. They only you just luckily caught hint of them. Otherwise, you wouldn't know.
Okay. I am noting. I'm your mom now. Come with me.
I'm your mom now.
Anyways,
I've adopted an NPC already.
I found one of my new babies. This is gonna be my focus in the game: is collecting babies.
Like Pokemon.
Yeah, gotta collect all them good spider children. But yeah, I'll like proceed up and wait for my companions, because you said I was still first, right? So
yep.
Gonna like get up there and move over and make room for my friends.
Okay.
And I'm a mix of looking at Dash and looking at Spider Arm Child. Like...
All right. As you're doing that, though, and as you get all three of you get onto the platform, Dash finally looks in your direction. Says, "Oh, I think I've been expecting you."
You have.
You're here about the arrangement, the cargo, correct?
Yes.
All right then. Evan, bring the box over. And you see not the spider-blessed child though. He's still hanging out on his own, but you see another small child sort of snap to attention, scurries away just towards the edge of the platform, and starts to lift, and then thinks better of it and drags this box over by a handle on the side, and drops it between where Dash is and where you're standing. I was told you'd want to confirm the contents.
Yes, of course. Imogene will walk very carefully over and take the top off the box.
Okay, so it sort of unlatches like a chest, and you lift it up, and there appear to be two levels inside the box. So there's an upper level, and in that upper level, upper shelf of the chest, are numerous papers in various like folio sheafs. You flip through some of them. They appear to be records of birth. Some of them are deeds for properties. All with spaces that can be filled in or manipulated. And there's also a box that flips up inside here and contains a number of vials of ink. Apparently very special ink you're gathering.
Mm.
Then you lift up the upper shelf, and underneath there are just probably about 8 pistols of human make. So they all have strange contraptions added onto them, like whirring chambers and coils of metal wire attached to them. And they're just placed very carefully in this lower level of the chest. And Dash sort of whistles as he sees those.
Like a
Yeah, sort of like that.
Like that. Oh boy, look at that.
Like a hot
Guns.
cargo. Oh, well. We'll have to let Florentine know he missed out on one of his favorite things.
There's everything is accounted for?
It looks that way. And Imogene's gonna look to Dash and be like, can I expect that you will be able to help us get it down from here?
My crew could take it where you need to go. But
Go ahead.
But that's some dangerous looking stuff in that crate.
Well, nothing is without its price, obviously.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the price has doubled.
You little twerp.
So, Torith is going to take out the bag. This is what we have. Is the agreed upon price.
Let me see.
Hand the bag over. We hand the bag over.
And Dash opens the bag and he's looking through it and he sort of hefts it a little bit, shakes up the coins inside of it. Well, for this, I'd hand the crate over. But if you're going to want my help taking it where it needs to be, well, it's going to need a little something extra.
We can't offer you coin, but I might have something that you would like.
What's that, old man?
Is there like a little set of drawers or like anything up here or?
There's just crates, various boxes of things.
Okay, so I'm just gonna walk over to a crate, pop it open, and dead drop.
All right. Dead drop for everyone else. That's a Vermissian Sage ability where, through the weird trans-dimensional quirks of the Vermissian, somebody has left you a supply cache.
Yeah. So I'm just
it could have been another sage. It could have been another alternate history version of yourself.
I think as we're walking to the crate, I'll just kind of act like, where did we leave it? Where did we leave? We were here before. Which one of us left it here? And then I go, that crate. Yes. And my hair, which was side cut and long hair, has now switched to a long hair and a braid in the back.
And none of you are sure when that happened exactly. Just one moment you looked up and Torith had a different hairstyle, and now it's changed. And
right as I grab that crate, that's what it switches to. I'm like, here's where we left it. And I open up the crate, and I pull out a bunch of food that I had left here before.
And they're
one of us had left here before.
As you're doing that, just all the children, all the airlarks who are on this platform just turn and stare at you, and you pull out this food and their eyes all sort of go wide.
We live in a tinderbox. Times are tough for us. I've been a gutter child. Will this suffice for you to take us the way we need to go?
Dash sort of narrows his eyes at you and says, "Who are you? I looked in that crate before when it fell. There wasn't food in it before."
The Vermissian provides for us.
And he looks towards some of the other children. They all sort of look back at him. There's an understanding. They all clearly know what the Vermissian is. I mean, part of it wraps around the outside of the Spire. But it's like there are hushed tones and whispers as soon as you say that.
We are what we are. We find what we find. We survive.
Well, that's very fortunate. I think we can come to an arrangement here. All right, lads. Let's prep to take these people and their cargo. Where is it you're heading?
To the cathedral.
All right. Yeah, we've done that route a dozen times. Let's prep to get them all situated. And suddenly a number of kids start scrambling and they're getting their birds. Some of them are tending to flocks of regular sized crows and ravens. And it's really interesting. They actually start tying strands of what looks like the spider webbing between flocks of regular sized crows, creating a sort of cargo net under a whole flock.
Does my precious spider baby, is he making these webs, or they already have them handy?
They already appear to have them handy. He is helping to attach them to crows and ravens.
I will wait for spider baby to attach. Detach, and then I would like to try and speak to spider baby.
Okay. So as Cahosa is sort of waiting for this particular one to finish attaching these webs to these birds, the rest of you notice that the music from that sky whale up above you has gotten even louder and more of a festive atmosphere. You can sort of hear faintly on the wind. Every now and then the wind will sort of catch what sounds like cocktail party chatter, people talking, glasses clinking. It'll make its way down to you. And every time it does, every time the wind hits just the right way, Dash and some of the other kids on the platform just like look up and roll their eyes or cast like this dark look up at the sky whale above you. And just as the spider blessed child is about to finish, something comes crashing just to the platform near you. Doesn't hit any of you, but you all sort of jump, startled. Even Dash and his airlarks jump a little bit, and they're, you must imagine, fairly used to things falling. But it's like a wine glass or a champagne flute has just crashed to the deck here and shattered.
Does that happen often?
Not that in particular.
I mean, and I'll point up to the party whale.
No, we don't see that very often. But it seems the Alfear and their drow lackeys will always come up with some new way to throw a party while the rest of us starve. That wine glass alone, that would have bought food for my crew for a week.
It's a shame.
Is it worth staying around those to collect? For you?
Around the ship? Around that sky whale?
Well, yes, you seem capable enough at collecting other things, and you just said that they have things of great value.
Yeah, they don't seem to drop anything, though, that survives the journey. I mean, usually we make our living off of cargo that is dropped or given a little push off the sky whales. But these people, they'll throw a wine glass or some food scraps. Most of it will fall right through the netting.
Wonder how difficult it would be to give them a little push.
That would be a time. But I'm not ready to die today. I don't know about you.
No. They'll get their comeuppance eventually.
Yeah, hopefully. Hey, Zai, are you done with those crows? And Zai is the spider blessed child. He says, yeah, all done.
Oh, can I go over to Zai?
You can.
My new baby.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I want to.
Your mind now. Let's go.
I feel like I shouldn't waste my abilities on just wanting to collect a child. but
Collect the child.
I want to collect the child.
What ability do you have that would help you collect children anyway?
Well, I mean, I
Literally
can.
just collect children.
I mean, I have my protector's eye. I could try and to figure out what I wanted to talk to them about. I could
True.
Eyes of Ishkra to look for any. Nah, there's nothing really I already identified the special thing here is this child. I'm going to try and make sure I look midwifey.
Okay, that's easy enough since you've looked midwifey this entire time.
Yeah. Just because I know there are midwives throughout all of Spire, just on every level,
Yep.
from the very poorest to the very richest.
Yes.
So I'm going to hope that these children are not so far removed from society that I might be able to be recognized by them, and I'm going to slowly but confidently go up to this precious spider-blessed child. Zaire? What is
Zai.
Zai.
Z-A-I.
C-A-I, Zai. I'm going to approach Zai and say, oh god, I don't know what I'm gonna say.
I'm your new mom.
Yeah, I know. I want to just say I'm your new mom now. Hello there. Do you know who I am?
You're a midwife, right?
Yes. I can't help but notice that you have been blessed by our Spider Queen. Someone like you is very appreciated where I come from.
When you say that at first, he instinctively kind of wraps his coat tighter around him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I used to live in a hatchery. It was destroyed, attacked.
Oh, she pissed! You don't attack a hatchery! Where... Child, tell me where that was.
It was in New Heaven at the top of the Spire. That's why I've always sort of had an affinity with the crows and the ravens. But yeah, our hatchery was attacked by the paladins. I don't know why. But if I hadn't been out playing with the birds, I probably would be dead. Luckily, I picked up a few things there, and when I was out on my own, it wasn't too long before Dash found me, and so I had some skill. But yeah, I don't advertise some aspects of me.
I understand. Not everyone realizes how good our gifts are. But I am from the cathedral, and if ever you have need, I would be happy to see you there. We would all be very happy to have you. I can see that you are doing well here. Your gifts seem very well attributed to this space. I'm trying really hard not to look at the chat right now because I know you guys wrote something funny and I don't want to read it. I can't help but notice your many gifts and many blessings, and we would be very, very happy to have you in our ranks. But I also understand it sounds like you have great reason to be loyal here. I appreciate you giving me... Would I have known, like, would I have heard that this hatchery had been taken out?
You do know that some hatcheries have been attacked in the past. And actually, Florentine is not on this mission. But you have suspected for a little while now that Florentine protected you. Because Cahosa did not serve in endurance. And for everyone watching, in the Spire for 4 years during their adolescence, or I guess their late teens, every drow has to serve like a 4 years of indentured servitude in some form to the Alfir, except for ones that find some way out of it. And Cahosa, unlike the others, did not serve endurance. Someone got her out of it, and you've come to suspect that someone was Florentine. And that's part of why, you feel a little bit of loyalty to him and work with him, even though he's a little bit off-putting in some ways. But you didn't serve endurance. Instead, you were stationed with the cathedral hatchery, and I mean, you suspect that was all kept very quiet by Florentine.
So, like, it makes sense, but I didn't know of this exact, like, the specifics. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't know the specific one had been attacked, but
It's very, very upsetting to hear about.
yeah, I that sounds like a really great offer. I just don't. These are my family here. This crew. I don't know that I could leave them.
I understand. If ever you are able, I would appreciate a visit to the cathedral at some point. We could use your boon. Totally thinking about stealing the blood, but I'm not, like, I'm not saying this.
Yeah, probably don't say I'd like to steal your blood.
Donation. I'm not, I'm not gonna
Like the
tie
Red
this
Cross.
kid down and take it. I'm gonna ask very nicely for it.
He says, yeah, I could probably stop by sometime. We do occasionally deliver things to the cathedral.
I know the hatchery would love and feel inspired to see one such as yourself.
Thanks.
You are a sight to behold, which, where I come from, would be always appreciated and never looked down upon.
He's actually like chewing on his lip, and there's like this touching moment for a short moment, and then
Can I put a hand on? Can I like very gently put one hand on his shoulder?
Yes. And as you're doing that, you just hear Dash, who's swung up to be sitting on a larger mega corvid than the others, and this one has like silver feathers on the fronts of its wings. And he says, "We should probably get this show on the road. I know this is very touching and all."
You have a special one here, Dash. Please make sure you appreciate him.
Oh, Zai's cool, yeah. He's good with the birds. That is important around here. And just as Dash finishes saying that, the air above you erupts. There is a loud rushing of wind, and then maybe a half second after that, a concussive force just hits all of you on the deck. It knocks all of you to the decking. Some of the kids actually slide close to the edge, but you see like a couple of them grab onto the netting ropes, and it scatters boxes. The one that you were picking up moves like a few feet, but it's heavier than a lot of the others. Some of them just go tumbling off the side of the scaffolding and fall below. And you look up and the air is just like orange and yellow and red. and that sky whale has exploded.
The party whale?
The party whale has exploded.
Oh.
You only have a moment to sort of take all of that in, and the explosion compresses, like implodes back on itself. So there's an explosion, and then it just goes inward, and then out of the sky, just things start raining down on you.
Oh, boy.
Just debris of all sorts, pieces of sky whale, people. A lot of them are missing the netting and just keep falling. But there are like just pieces of whale like landing on the deck next to you and burning pieces of debris and plank, wood, and all that stuff.
Is there like any kind of cover like that we can like get under to avoid?
Not really. I mean, there are some decks that are above, some scaffolding that's above this one. So a few of you could like scramble under that, but it's not a whole lot of cover.
Yeah, Imogene's probably gonna try to like crawl underneath something.
Yeah, Torith is just gonna try and keep like kids from getting like crushed by things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you can do that. Just try like, just grab some of them and.
Yeah, just moving kids around that are close to him if they can.
Okay, so Torith goes out and he's helping up some of the kids who have fallen to the ground. Some of them who had been nearly pushed off of the platform, who are grabbing onto the netting. You help pull them up, and you're just getting them underneath the little bit of cover that there is. What's Cahosa doing?
Well, what were the kids doing? They mostly just ducked, or like are any of them like running out, or like what?
None of them are running out yet. They seem kind of stunned.
Okay.
And Zai is just he's on the ground next to you. You haven't stood up yet. He was just knocked to the ground too.
I mean, I'm probably like covering him with one arm at least and like looking up, and I would imagine like shouting to Dash because I don't know the tolerances of these scaffolds. So I'm personally shouting to Dash, are these safe? Do we need to get inside? Does everyone need to get inside?
They should hold, but I mean I don't know. I think so.
Okay, I'm gonna start ushering kids in. I'm gonna be like, come everyone inside now. Like, playtime's done, kids. Inside.
All right. It takes a moment for the kids to like sort of get a handle of the situation, but they start to adjust, and as soon as they do, it's like someone hit a switch, and they are just like scrambling down these ladders and stuff back towards the entrance. As you're sort of ushering them around, you see one humanoid form fall from this still like mess of burning debris and hit part of the webbing, spider webbing, close to the spire, maybe about 30 feet from you.
So they're down below?
They're sort of on the same level, maybe a few feet below you, but like 30 feet away, there's one of those patches of where it's a spider webbing.
Are they?
And they've just like fallen out of the sky and landed on it.
Are they Alfir?
You can't tell from here.
I want to go see if they're Alfir, and if they're Alfir, I want to cut the ropes.
All right. So all three of you see that, and you see Kosa start to move out in that direction.
I'm gonna run after.
Yeah, Imogene's also going to scurry that way.
Okay. The kids mostly are still ignoring it. Dash is staying behind a little bit. He wants to be the last of his crew to sort of abandon the area.
Did we take our stuff with us? Yeah.
The box is still on the platform.
Oh shit! I guess we should take that.
I mean, Dash hasn't left it yet. He's standing near it with his Corvid.
Mm-hmm.
I just look at Dash and just say, "Keep that safe. We'll be right back."
He just nods at you. And you sort of move out onto the ropes, which
I will.
Or maybe Imogene doesn't.
Right here.
Imogene's like, I'm good out here.
I got your backs.
But Cahosa just sort of like moves out onto the ropes.
Yeah, I'll stay like on the edge because I'm not going out there either.
They seem to hold. They're sturdy. You're just sort of carefully, and you're deliberately not looking down.
Yeah.
but you're sort of scurrying across the ropes. You get to the spider webbing, and you sort of reach out to one piece of spider webbing, and you see that it is not sticky, like some spider webbing is, but they are like thick, like inch diameter bundles of silk. And you're getting closer to this form, and you can see that there's like smoke, like part of their clothes are smoldering and burned, and all the smoke rising off of the body as it's sitting in the webbing.
Are they face down?
They are sort of curled away from you, like sort of on their side, but their face is the opposite direction. And you're maybe 10 feet away from them now.
No, I can't do anything special yet. I'm like debating. How long is my chain?
That's a good question. Maybe like 4.5, 5 feet.
Not long enough to like.
Okay. No, you can't reach her from here with it.
Okay. Can I get close enough to identify? Like, are they moving? Are they?
They don't appear to be moving. They're just laying on their side. Their back facing you, and their clothes are smoldering and smoking.
As I'm walking to them very slowly, very carefully. I don't want to touch them if I don't have to. And I'm just going to start calling. Excuse me, are you dead?
No answer.
Hello? You there? On fire person. Excuse me, hello? I guess I'm still, like, approaching.
Yeah, there's no answer. The person doesn't even move.
Can I, like, get close enough to poke them with my toe?
Yeah. So you just sort of, like, stretch your leg out in front of you.
Yeah.
And poke them with your toe.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And they just sort of move a little bit, so now their face is more in the webbing. But you are close enough now to see that they appear to be breathing.
Gosh dang it. I flip them over. But I want to have my weapon in my hand.
Okay. So you approach them.
Yeah, so
with
I have
your
my
weighted
weapon.
chain in
I
your
have
hand.
my weapon in my dominant hand, and I'm pushing them with my non-dominant hand.
Okay, so you're carefully doing that, and as you're doing that, there are like lighter pieces of something burning and falling around you. They may be pieces of like sail material, or maybe they're whale skin or something. But they're little burning pieces of something falling around you, and you turn them over. And their clothes look like they were once very fine clothes, but they're now like scorched and burned. Smoke still rising from them, and you can see that parts of their body are also badly burned. They are alive. They appear to be unconscious. It is a drow woman. And after a moment, you recognize her. This drow woman is well known to you because she is the only drow that serves on the Council of Spire. Her name is Madame Faye Arignan. And all the rest of the council, well, there is one human who serves in the council. The rest are Alfir, and there's one drow. And this is her.
Oh, shit.
Whoops!
And she's breathing, but shallowly, and she appears to be unconscious and badly burned.
Oh, fudge. I would like to very carefully try to drag her back, and as I am doing so, I am in fact waving at Torith and Imogene, and I'm like, Not an elf here. Please help. Like,
I will get out there.
well, I don't know if we should. Like, I'm like, wait, wait
yeah,
there. I'm bringing her. Don't.
Well, I was gonna try
Like,
to help.
how tough are these like ropes? And like, has anything come down and like, harmed them at all? Are they?
So as you're saying that, as
Yeah,
Torith
that's
starts
what
to
I
like go out
thought.
on them, and you're like stop. Something like large and burning strikes the wet netting near you.
Fudge.
It just crashes into it, and sparks fly up and stuff. And some of the rope is singed.
Well,
Doesn't appear to be collapsing yet, but
I'm gonna move out there and help Kosa bring in body.
okay. So yeah, as soon as you move out there, you also catch sight of this woman's face, and you recognize her too. Like, she appears in the fancy newspapers stuff frequently.
Yeah, bring her
Yep.
quickly to the. When we get, I'm gonna try and fix her. Can I do that? Like, fix broken people.
Yep.
oh, does
fix-
it? Damn.
It does, and Kosa also has an ability that helps with that.
Okay.
You do think that her wounds are pretty bad, but you can do something.
Well, yeah, I just want. Yeah, I know. I don't think I can. I don't think we can do anything.
Okay, wait. So is she bloodied? Is that what the term is in this, or stressed?
She has, effectively blood stress, or actually blood fallout.
Oh.
So you can heal her with your canonical
Yeah.
remaking.
So then I will attempt to heal her then. Once we get
Okay.
her onto a can we drag her down a little bit first? I'm like, I absolutely agree with you, Torith. We should absolutely fix her, but please let's go inside.
And burning things are falling around you.
Yes.
So making her point.
Yes, that is smart.
So Torith, I'm guessing you help Kosa sort of carry her.
Yeah.
Like Weekend at Bernie style or something.
I mean, that's a reference for this.
And you bring her back inside the spire, across that platform that curls around the hole in the side. And now you start to see that there are crowds of people in the Silver Quarter.
Where's our box?
Did you want to get it?
Yeah.
The other two were definitely too busy.
Yeah, I'll grab the
Dash
box.
was waiting near it, but you can grab it.
Yeah.
It was a little bit too heavy for that kid that was bringing it over, but you can handle it.
Okay.
So you sort of lift it up by the two handles that are on the side of it. And it's a little bit awkward to bring it around the narrow platform, but you manage. And then when you get to the latter parts, you're like, oh. But then Dash is following up behind you. And he grabs a roll of rope off of one of the walls. There's just a peg where you see like spools of rope hanging. He says, here, let's just tie this to it. We'll lower it down.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And he looks over to Torith and Kosa and the person they're dragging. You know who that is, right?
Yes, we know. This is not good.
Yeah, that's really not good. And he helps you lower the box to the ground, and you all get back down on the ground of the Silver Quarter. And there are crowds of people that are starting to gather, but they're here in the Silver Quarter. They weren't able to see what happened. They have just begun to heard that something tragic has happened.
Mhm.
So they're not all directly looking at you. They're just starting to mill about. But you are currently holding someone
Yeah,
who
no,
is.
I look to Dash, and I say, we need her and that box out of sight. Do you have a place?
We were just gonna go to the hatchery, take the box. I
Can
don't know where else to take her.
Can
Yeah.
you take the box and meet us there?
I can do better than that. I can help you all get there.
Get there quick and without as many prying eyes as we can.
Imogene, do you have any extra clothes or anything, or like do you have like a big dress? Like, what do you have on right now? Could you like hold it up to like cover me for a second while I go down and like heal her? So that there's no one looking at us right now, because apparently there's crowds and crowds of people around.
Ooh. Um, I have an ability that could help with that.
You do.
I do. That I can roll with mastery when I attempt to get everyone in a situation to only focus on me.
Center of attention.
Center of attention.
You'll have to describe to me how you want to become the center of attention, but yeah, that would totally all the crowd wouldn't be paying attention to Torith and Kosa at all.
All right.
If it worked.
Yeah. So the crowd, like, are they just like riled? Do they know like why everyone's getting riled up, or are they just like riled up for?
No, you clearly see that many of them are confused and don't know what has happened. There are murmurs throughout the crowd that something terrible has happened. Some people are saying, "Oh, there was an explosion," but they're not saying like a sky whale exploded. And people are just starting to gather to try to figure out what's happening. So they're not all looking in your direction to begin with, but they are nearby and milling about.
What's like around us as far as like?
So there's the other, like the tenement buildings in this quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Then just past the hole towards further in the Silver Quarter, there are a couple of casinos, and it's between those casinos where people are starting to gather in groups. Some of them are coming out of the casinos, trying to figure out what happened.
Perfect. Okay. I will head. I'll be like, stay here. I'll be back, and I'm gonna head like towards the direction of the casinos.
Mm-hmm.
And and when I get close-ish to one, I'm just gonna. Is there like what are the front of them look like? Like if I'm looking for just like something to like hop up on.
Yeah.
A soapbox?
Like a fountain or a bench or.
I'm gonna say that right between these two casinos, there's sort of a small plaza, and that's where some of these people are starting to gather. And in the center of that plaza, there's this sort of raised stonework, like a dais, and usually there would be like barkers out there selling something or saying, oh, here's the hot new thing at one of the shows, but no one is standing on it right now.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna get onto that, and hoping that everybody can just like scoot while I'm doing it. I'm just gonna start to sing.
Okay. So center of attention has a roll because it's an occult ability, I believe.
Yeah. It says gain 1 reputation. Does that just go into my?
That's an automatic passive thing, but then you says.
Oh, okay.
So you roll with mastery when you attempt to get everyone in a situation to focus on you and you alone. So since you're singing, I would say that is compel and. I'm gonna say that's probably compel and high society because you're trying to be fancy.
Yes.
So you have both of those, right?
Yeah, I do.
So you would have 4d10 because you're rolling with mastery.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Oh geez. Oh no. Oh god. Everything is ruined. All right. 2 9s, a 10, and a 6.
Ooh.
Jeez. So a critical success. So yeah, you start to. What kind of song do you sing?
I'm thinking like I imagine her not so much like a pop star, but more like a jazz type singer.
Like a lounge club singer.
Yeah, like a lounge singer, like a really fancy lounge singer. So something that's probably more like soothing and low to try to like calm down the people around, but still like make like enough to make people notice what she's doing. And I imagine people around kind of know who she is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this is the Silver Quarter. This is sort of your home turf.
Yeah.
So at first, people don't notice you when you first climb up there and you start singing, and the crowds seem a little too self-absorbed. But then, like just a few moments into your singing, the chatter between the crowd starts to hush, and the people start to turn towards you, and then they start to whisper like, "Is that Imogene?" And different people are like, oh yeah, I saw her at the Siren Song, and so people are like, oh, I heard that she served her durance up in Amaranth, and they're just all these like whispered rumors and people who are just stopping to listen to you sing. People are still confused. They don't know exactly what's going on and why you're singing, but
I don't either.
in this situation, this has their attention. They're just all focused on you. And Torith and Cahosa, you know that nobody's looking at you now.
Okay, so in this moment, I'm gonna try and see if we can get her back up. Like, I'm trying to see if we can, A, stop her from dying, B, get her on her toes so we can get her out of here.
All right, so your ability.
Canticle, yeah, it's,
Remaking.
intoning ancient psalms to forgotten powers, you bind your wounds with strands of ethereal web. Roll plus blood.
Well, it says roll fix plus occult.
Sorry, yeah,
to
fix
cast the
plus
spell.
occult.
And I will say that since Torith's with you, he's assisting.
Mm-hmm.
So the way assisting works is if the person has a applicable skill or domain, they add a die to it. But if you take stress, they also take the same amount of stress. So they help, but they also share the risk.
Okay.
So you would get, you have both fix and occult, so you would have 4d10 to roll.
Okay. First set of 2 rolls, not good.
I can't use my ability because I'm not rolling.
Ooh. A 1, a 3, a 6, a 7.
All right, so you got a partial success. So you are going to take stress.
Ouch.
So I have a thing for that.
Yay, our first stress.
Yes.
Don't let her die, please.
I'm trying not to.
Yeah, I don't have many helpful abilities.
I'm sure that's not true.
Well, for this situation.
Oh, there you go. See?
So you spin these ethereal webs, which just sort of appear between your fingertips, and you sort of weave them, and you're wrapping her burned skin with these webs. As you're doing so, you can feel, you start to feel a little bit faint, like you're putting your own life essence, your own blood into the spell. Like the corners of your vision get a little bit hazy, and you feel a little bit faint, but you hold it together, and you spin this like web. It's not like a cocoon around her, but it's just sort of webbing that's applied over the most burnt
It's more
areas.
like spider bandages.
Yes, spider band-aids.
I gave her spider band-aids.
And
Spider Mom wants you to stop scraping your knees, guys.
So she doesn't wake up yet,
Okay.
but you see some of the burns seem to, like the skin seems to start to knit itself back together under these webs. And her breathing seems a little less labored, but she is still unconscious.
Okay. And I took 1 stress? Is that how it works?
Nope, I rolled and I'm tracking it.
Okay.
You took 2 stress, but
Ouch.
to blood, and you have fortunately good blood resistance.
Yay!
I took stress too. Did I take stress?
Yes, you do, because you helped.
I will call you out on giving me stress.
Thank you.
Give me my stress!
I don't have any resistance to blood stress. If that's what it was.
You also...
Yep, so I also applied it to you. You also feel the same sort of faintness. You can almost feel like Cahosa is pulling away your essence a bit to fuel this.
I need some of this, please. Thank you.
It's almost like she just stole some of your blood.
What? She doesn't totally do that with you guys all the time. What? No.
So
yeah.
you still have her. She's unconscious,
So
but
she's still unconscious, but she's breathing. Okay. And we still have Dash with us, and Dash said he was going to help us get out of here.
Yeah, Dash is rounding up his people. You see that most of them, at least the ones who do have mega corvids that they ride, are now on them, and they're all sort of around you.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
Do they fly these birds inside?
They do. Well, yes and no. There are like passageways through the Spire where they fly on the outside, and they fly through these passageways in. One of the passageways is actually in the cathedral, like an upper area of the cathedral.
That's like when you're
As
trying to get
little-
out of Undercity, and there's that little tunnel that you can fly out of the top. Sorry.
Yeah, nice World of Warcraft reference. But yes, like that.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I believe
We've
you.
flown through it before.
Okay. You can show me later.
Yes, tune in to Dusty and Jess's World of Warcraft stream to see what they're talking about.
Clearly, where Dustin knows everything and Jessica knows nothing. But yeah, so if they're helping us, are they like, do they have the package with them and their birds, and like me and Torith like maybe have Madame Faye between us, or like?
So you specifically see Zai has this netting, the spiderweb netting, stitched together between a whole flock of crows and ravens.
Such a
And-
good, talented boy.
He carefully puts the chest in this spiderweb netting, and it holds it. And these birds, I mean, individually they would not nearly be able to handle this weight, but collectively as a flock, they just start to like lift up, and the chest is in the spiderweb netting. And Dash says, set up one of the special carriages for them, for these three. And you see a couple of the kids run off, and they gather up a few mega corvids, and there is like a box. It's not a large carriage, but it's like a stagecoach type thing, and it's hitched to the birds in a similar way to that net was to the small birds.
Okay.
They said they will be able to carry you to the cathedral in this.
Okay. Turns to Torith. Do you want to get Imogene's attention? We're ready to go.
We will get her. Get Madam inside.
Yeah, so I start preparing, like, getting, with the help of the kids, I suppose, getting, like, the madam in there. And let Torith take care of getting Imogen.
All right. So Torith, you still see her singing. It's really beautiful song that she's singing.
Yeah, I'm coming up from behind, and I like reach out a little bit, like to just tap her, and I like stop for a second. I get like this really like strange look on my face, and I'm just like, know her, it's fine. And I just tap her.
Oh, I will notice that they are there, and finish the song to wondrous applause. And
Yeah, it's a
Probably
strange
some
moment.
money being thrown at you.
It is a strange moment because there is like a round of applause, and then people start to realize, like, wasn't there something bad happening here? And there's some murmuring and stuff. But yeah, there are people who are like leaving small trinkets and little coins and stuff at the little base of the thing you're standing on.
I will collect them and go with Torith to.
I'll sort of like I'll take like my hat off, and I do like a little bow. And this time my hair is in like this really fancy style. And I kind of put my arm out, and then I put my hat back on. Or
I'll take his arm and we'll go.
All right, there's another round of applause, and it's funny because the crowd's still sort of focused on you, at least most of them. So you walk your way over to this strange little like carriage that's attached to these large, like mastiff-sized crows, and now Cahosa and the madam are already inside the carriage, but the crowd's like watching you make this exit into this bird-carried carriage, and Torith helps you inside. And the four of you are inside this carriage, and the birds lift off, and there's this weird sensation that you are floating in this carriage, and it starts to like sway a little bit, and it is flying. And that is where we're going to end for today.
Oh,
Flying away. Being
Flying away in your
blown
carriage.
away. Totally normal thing that happens.
so, like, as you do.
As you
Yeah.
do.
in our giant raven carriage.
Yep. that's the kind of exit that Imogene makes after a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Imogene, are you like waving to your crowd of like onlookers? Are you like, do you have like a
Blowing
fancy
kisses.
like, yeah, are you
I mean, probably if she like climbed in, and then as soon as she's in, she's like, "All right, we're done." It can only be on for so long. It's very tiring.
All these people, once they realize what really happened here, are gonna be so confused as to why you put on like a spontaneous show
Amazing.
Sounds
after the explosion of the sky whale.
sounds like future Imogene's problem.
That was absolutely amazing.
was-
Thank you, Jason.
Oh my God, we got a very important person. Oh,
Yeah, you guys will get to deal with what comes next from that next time, and you'll have Florentine with you.
Yay!
Yay.
I'm excited. So let's do a quick go around, everyone, to say where people can find you, and if you have anything you want to plug, go ahead and plug it, and you can say favorite moment of the game for you, and I'll go first. Thank you for giving me Precious Web Boy. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to have already found a precious spider son. I was just so excited when you say that, but also when you started describing what the contraband was. That was really cool when you were saying like the papers, the forms to be filled out, and then the guns underneath.
Yep.
Very exciting. I'm very, very excited. So thank you so much for doing that. I'm Jess. This is my channel. Go_GG. Thanks for hanging out. Follow if you haven't already. All that stuff. We'll be doing this every other Saturday. So not next Saturday, but next Saturday. So in April. We'll see you again. Yes, thank you for the command. That's awesome. Yeah, so I think that's oh yeah, come hang out with me and Dustin later today as we do go through WoW. Maybe he'll show me what this place he was describing where the birds could fly through. And then I'm doing Honey Heist tomorrow over on Katie Face's channel. Come hang out with me for that. That's probably going to be our season finale. I was trying to say finale with Baird terms. I'm
Gotcha.
terrible.
That was
Fired.
good.
It was great. It was great.
Was it? I thought it was the worst. It's the worst. Everything there is the worst, and it's full of terrible puns. So come hang out with us there too. And then Critical Reroll is our channel. Twitch.tv/Critical Role. Check that out for our Critical Role podcast. Me, Dustin, a bunch of other nerds do that one. So come hang out with us there. Next, Megan.
Megan, hi. I'm Megan. You can find me on Twitter at MeganLynnFTW. Oh God, I loved Spider Mom in the alley scaring those humans. Oh God, I loved the description of just like climbing up all of those ladders like to get to the scaffolding and realizing how ill prepared Imogene is to be a spy.
She's like the awesome singing face of the crew.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Yeah. She's very useful in many situations. Scaling the side of the building is not one of those situations. But yeah, I don't have anything to plug. Come here and watch all the cool stuff that Jess does. And I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yay, thank you. Dustin.
Hi, I'm Dustin, or Dusty, at GeoNerd on Twitter and Twitch, and I do stream Mondays and Fridays. Like Jess said, I'm a host on Critical Reroll with her, and on Saturdays we play WoW together. So yeah, and I'm in this game, obviously.
Every other Saturday. Don't forget, we're gonna keep repeating that.
Every other Saturday.
And last but certainly not least, our amazing DM. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Jason. I'm Jace Levine on Twitter. And I don't have any streams or anything to plug, but Jess's stuff is awesome. All of her streams. And this one will be there, and I'm so glad she's helping me out with that. So yeah, come watch. And yeah, we'll be doing this again in 2 weeks, and after that. And Nicholas will be here.
Yeah,
Yay.
Nicholas. So
I forgot to say what my favorite thing about this game was, and it's just everything, because the atmosphere of the Spire is just great. This weird, creepy, but also like low techy neon lighty, like just weird. It's just so great. It's just so magic and weird magic and occult. Oh, it's just so great.
They're
Like
so
everything
good.
about this.
So good.
So good.
Yeah,
And I already love Spider Mom. 100%.
Yeah, my
Weird.
favorite thing was just you guys all using your abilities in really special ways, like Kohosa using it to scare those, to find out what the leader of those humans cared about, and to scare them, and then the webs and the impromptu singing as a distraction, and the really good dead drop to kind of bribe your way out of that situation.
The dead drop was so good. Like, the way it
good.
ended up happening was so good. But when you first said it, all I could imagine... Does anyone here know the dance move at dead drop? It's literally when you, like, drop to the floor as a dance maneuver. And it's quite intense. And I literally was just imagining Torith is, like, talking very quietly and was like...
They'd make it work.
Yeah. And then just, like, does a death drop. Oh my gosh, what a great visual. It was so good.
We'll save that
Does
for the
it def-
dance episode.
Yeah.
Does a death drop and then just pops the crate next to him open. They're like,
Yes. Yes. So good. Oh my god, I loved it. So thanks everyone so much for hanging out. If you can come back later to hang out with me and Dustin, do so. If not, we'll see you here in 2 weeks for more Spire. We'll see what's happening with this interesting Madame Faye person who we've just found and I didn't manage to bring back to consciousness, but you know.
But you're bringing her to the hatchery, and they have a lot of midwives there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll figure it out. So excited for that. Thanks so much for hanging out. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Yes, I said bye, Arya.